Okay, Dr. Mindy here, and I have a crew of women with me today, and hopefully you know who all these women are. So if you don't know who Dr. Sonia and Dr. Caitlin are, we do a podcast called Women in Wellness, and we got the pleasure of interviewing this amazing woman who was also on Resetter TV. This is Dr. Naisha Winters, and we are going to talk about cancer. We're going to talk about metabolically flexible. We're going to talk about sleep, stress, and the emotional journey. So a lot of you guys had questions on the interview that I did with you on Resetter TV. So let me start off with the questions. And I'm sure you get this question a lot.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so if I have cancer, should I go vegan?
Okay. So of course I get this question a lot. I started there myself. It seems like a very good idea, but the evidence frankly isn't there. I think the confusion is more around thinking that a diet that enhances metabolic flexibility has to be very meat dense. And that's actually opposite. So for instance, an actual ketogenic diet for cancer is actually low protein, low to normal protein, 0.8 grams per kilogram of body mass is the absolute recommended, which is very, very low protein, so that is something I think it really confuses people. You can still do a very plant dominant based. That's what I employ in myself and in my patient population, an average of 9 to 15 cups of vegetables a day. Above the ground leafy greens are super low carb, super nutrient dense, go into town on all those polyphenols and those enzymes and all those nutrients are very important in your vegetable foods, but you cannot repair tissue without some protein. That's a biggie. That's a biggie. And our patients in this population are protein wasting. They're muscle wasting. So we have to have appropriate nutrients on board.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Second question. Are you ready?
Yeah. Okay. So I want to follow up on that question. So if it's not getting rid of protein, right, animal protein, what are the proteins and the quality of proteins that you would recommend somebody be consuming when they do have cancer?
Excellent. Well, we don't have to guess on that. We can actually test, assess, and address that very easily. You can find out just by somebody's history and get a good idea. You can look at their basic labs and get a good idea. But if you really want to get geeky, you run their SNPs, and you can actually see certain SNPs like, say, the ACSL1 SNP, which means red meat and you will never be friends ever in life, not with cancer, not with anything else. LCT SNP means you and lactose, never, ever, ever the two shall meet. If you're a TCFL72 SNPer, you and grains should never have hung out. Okay, these are the types of things we can get down to the very incremental details, and we can see when we're trying to put people on a lower carbohydrate, higher fat diet, if they're going to be bumping up against things like fat metabolism. So I might see that they have SLC22A5 SNPs or ACAT SNPs or some of these others that might need them to get some nutrients on board that helps shuttle the fat across the cell membrane so it can actually get to the mitochondria and do its job in the Krebs cycle. So it's a very nuanced piece. We all need our own biochemically individualized dietary program. And we can, I think, across the board say that a low carbohydrate diet is a given for everybody on the planet. We'd all do well with that. A plant dense base camp of that is also, I think, a next common denominator. And then depending on your biochemical individuality might be your fat and protein needs as such.
Cool. Yeah, and you know what I think is so interesting, and we see this on YouTube when people ask questions, is they want to know what's the diet. And what I just heard is that there is no the diet. There is a diet for you, and there is a variation amongst even that diet. Yeah, exactly. So I think that just really take note with that, and it's a tough answer because we want the diet, and it just doesn't exist. Yeah. So, okay, you ready? Dr. Sonia's got a little bit of a cold or a cough, so her voice is very unique today.
Yes, I'm going to use my sexy voice. So I'm taking it to the bigger picture. I love the way you describe your relationship with cancer. And so if you can maybe describe your perspective and how you feel that cancer is actually something that can give you the permission to thrive in life and how that worked for you.
Yeah, good. So, whenever you look at the ribbon movements, the pink ribbon, the Cancer Society, and Ovarian Cancer Month and Breast Cancer Month, there's always this concept around the war against cancer, the fight for cancer, the race against cancer. All of these pieces, there's something about it that makes it seem like the enemy. And what folks forget is that cancer is us. It's of us. It springs from us. It is biologically important to our own survival. And it's when we start to attack it, how is it possible that it wouldn't also be attacking ourselves, which is exactly what happens in standard of care cancer treatment. So what I try and help others, and myself included on this journey for so long, and one of the first things I realized early on in the process for me was that it was a messenger. It was trying to tell me something. It was trying to help me understand where I had come from, where I was in that moment, and where I needed to go. And it's been, as weird as it sounds, a friend, an ally, an instigator, a stimulant, an enzyme, a process that has created movement and a catalyst in the biggest way possible. And, it always sounds so cliche, but it really is life-changing. And it is the opportunity. And for many people, it's the heed the call to action and get out of the miserable job or the miserable relationship or live your life's purpose or find your life's purpose or connect back with your joy, as well as clean up what you put in on around your body. I mean, that physical, tangible part is the easy part. What you're asking me and what I've been working on is the hardest part. And it's the part that most people neglect. It's the part that we hope someone else will do it for us, but it's cancer giving us that opportunity to really get to know thyself.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's huge.
Well said. So one of the thoughts that I had as you were talking is, and I heard it throughout all the speakers here today. We're at a conference on cancer and fasting, ketosis, detox, microbiome. It's a very long name. So I've been given a diagnosis of cancer. And now I know something like stress is going to affect my immune system. What strategies do I have to handle the stress of a diagnosis of cancer so that it doesn't suppress my immune system?
That's a great question. So, first of all, I've told patients this for years, the only emergency of cancer, unless it shows up opportunistically in a place that's clenching off an organ or a blood supply, it is not a medical emergency, that diagnosis. But I do tell people that the diagnosis of cancer is often the most dangerous part of the process, because it's how one reacts to that diagnosis that lays the field for what's next. So of course that initial shock, that initial terror, that initial sensation is real. Let that be. That don't try and censor that in the moment, but then move on to the next step. So I always tell people, in fact, on my website, I have that little 5, what to do when you're diagnosed with cancer steps. One of them, the very first one, is breathe. Okay, just take a moment. As you've heard all of the speakers say, this process you didn't go to bed one night and wake up with cancer. This was 7 to 10 years on average before it was big enough and loud enough to capture your attention. So knowing that, and knowing that even your very response to what you do next could strongly impact your outcomes, helps you get very clear to know how to take the next step. So that's where you start to pull together your tribe. You start to pray, you start to meditate, you start to bring mindfulness, you start to exercise, you start to clean out your terrain. You find tools that work for you. Maybe it's journaling, maybe it's singing, maybe it's dance, maybe it's making love, maybe it's walking on the beach. Whatever it is for you that brings a release of that stress is huge. And so many people don't even think they're under stress, but we are all always under stress today. So you have to, exactly. So it's one of those things that it's definitely important to get to know in the terrain what's going on.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You need to meet, do you know Dr. Anna Kabeka?
I know of her. I've got her book. I've read it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd love to meet her.
So she came on Resetter TV. She came on our podcast.
Cool.
And one of my big takeaways from her was oxytocin.
Oh.
The power of oxytocin and how that will manage cortisol. And so I've been doing a lot more petting my animals, just when I pass my husband in the kitchen, just putting my hand on him. This this kind of stuff, connecting with women, like just realizing that oxytocin is such a powerful hormone, and if we tap into it, it can manage stress.
Yeah, like your 20 hugs a day quota, and then holding them a little bit longer, 10 to 15 seconds will release it. Orgasm releases oxytocin. Laughter, community releases oxytocin. That is such a powerful tool to heal.
Yeah,
Well, I think adding joy, just the frequency of joy, because oxytocin is the joy hormone. And so just having that higher frequency is also going to decrease stress and make you feel like a totally different person.
Or when things like your technology fail in the middle of a big presentation, and you can, like literally that is my worst nightmare, besides sharks and tarantulas and fire, death by fire. But we'll go to that one some. There you go. But that's where it did. It turned into a total laugh fest, and people were so great. And just that being just so vulnerable was really fun, and that joy, everyone joined in it, and we all laughed together.
I love that you said that it's vulnerability, right? Showing our vulnerability, having open and soft hearts with our strong warrior backs, but still being able to express, right? Because cancer is such a diagnosis of disconnect. So connecting, again, to yourself and to others around us. With your sexy voice.
I think she's got a new gig coming.
So we could actually talk to all day long. But I hope that helps you guys that had questions. If you want to hear more conversations like this is what we're doing on the Women in Wellness podcast. We're trying to have deeper conversations about issues that are affecting women. We're trying to bring you some great minds like Dr. Naisha. So I'll put a link in here. It's Women in Wellness podcast. You can find it on iTunes, and you just rock. And I know a lot of people in my Resetter tribe went and got your book. So where do people find you? Like, how do people reach out to you?
Great. So The Metabolic Approach to Cancer is the book, and drnaisha.com, or the Metabolic Approach to Cancer Facebook page, or Dr. Naisha Facebook page. You can find me in all those places. And on the website, there's a ton of resources and podcasts, lists and things that we've done as well, and upcoming events and talks that I'll be doing. So please reach out. I'd love your feedback, and I want to see all of us thriving. So this is fantastic.
Yeah, and thank you. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section, and we'll make more videos based off of what you guys are looking for. So as always, hope that helps. Hey, Dr. Mindy here, and if you enjoyed this video, please share it out to the world. I'm trying to get really cutting-edge health information into people's hands. And if you want to see more videos like this, just subscribe to my channel and you'll get updates as to when I go live and new videos that I put out there. Every Thursday, by the way, I do a live video from here and answer your questions. So if there are questions you want me to answer, join me then and I'll make sure that I address them. Thanks. Have an awesome day.